Quick note from Chicky D here before the video starts. Some of the slides are a little messed up. Our faces are covering the text. That's because when we started recording, after we had it all set up, after I got it all set up, we added some more information to the slides, and I forgot to double check it. But it's more of an audio video rather than a visual video, so just take note of that and enjoy.
Hey, all you rebels out there, welcome to another episode of Cracked Dice Gaming. With you, you have a good old Captain Shekaka, and with me, I have...
Chick Donovan is here for a very serious video. Very serious.
Yeah, very serious. Very serious, yeah. Hey, we're going to be talking about Best of Ones. If you like Best of Ones or not, I know that there's been some Best of Ones being played
and Best of Threes.
Especially store championships, because the store championships are taking place weekdays, and hey, it's hard to get like a 16-hour tournament into a weekday night before, 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So anyway, so we're doing top Best of Ones a little bit. And so sit back, relax, and let's talk a little bit about Best of Ones. So what do you think of Best of Ones? What are the pros, the cons? Best of Ones, Chicky D.
So essentially what this video is, and what we want to do with this video, is open the conversation. Have a serious conversation. No, seriously. Have a conversation about whether Best of Ones or Best of Threes is better for Star Wars Unlimited, right? We want to see the game succeed. We want to see it do great. FFG, we're on your side this time. Look at us. And just in playing the game and talking to people face to face, and in our own huddles that we do at Crack Dice Gaming, we have our own little huddle that we do. In case you didn't know, we have come to a conclusion that Best of Ones may be better than Best of Threes. So let's start off with Best of Ones. There's some pros. The pros are you get to see more people, meet more people, interact with more people, right? That's saying that because of the extra time, since you're doing Best of Ones, you can do an extra round or an extra couple rounds of Swiss if you wish to do that, right? And it's just faster paced, and you get through it quicker. And leads into the second point. It takes less time, right? Why would that matter, Coach? Why would it matter if it takes less time? Why would it matter if we take our rounds from 55 minutes to down to 25 minutes? Why would that make a difference?
The biggest thing is, like, when you're talking about time, I just wondered, like, okay, what happens when you get to like a 300 player tournament, or I don't know, maybe a 400 player tournament? How does that all work out with Best of Threes? Are you doing like a whole day of gaming, and then you still don't know if you've made top cut, and then you come back the next day to see if you made top cut? You spend a bunch of money on hotels and all this kind of way. I don't know. I just feel like Best of Ones, if you made top cut, and I just feel like more than anything, they just kind of did Best of Threes because that's what everybody else does, right? I mean, but is that the best thing for the game? I guess that's my question. That's where I'm coming from. If you blended, did you try? I'd really be interested to find out from our viewers. Have you tried Best of Ones? And if you did, what was your experience? And compared to Best of Threes? And I feel like, in my experience, it was way better. I really enjoyed getting to see more players. I really enjoyed the time factor. It didn't take me 7-8 hours to play a tournament. It was 5 or 6 hours, or 4 or 5 hours. You could play it in a night. I like Best of Ones.
Yeah. So to touch on that, massive tournament thing, FFG in their rules document, I just pulled it up. If there is a tournament with 1,025 people to 2,048 people, which this game, if FFG wants it to go that long, or be that big, I should say, that's going to be 11 rounds of Swiss. If it's over 2,049 people, that's 12 rounds of Swiss, all of which take an hour at least. And you're going to have the control mirrors that go over the time by like 10 minutes. And then you got to do the pairings and get to your seat. So each round will probably take you an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes, probably, maybe an hour and 5. So you're looking at just 13 hours of gaming in the Swiss rounds itself. Plus, you need like a lunch break. I would sure hope so. And
a dinner break.
And a dinner break. And another break. Maybe. Yeah, and so just like a 10 11, 12 rounds of Swiss, best of threes for a massive tournament. That just doesn't seem too appealing to us. And less time. Well, I'll tell you what, at a showdown the other day, the one that I won it. Okay, I won it. That's not part of the video, but I did win it. At the top four, my Sabine game was over quickly, and then it was I mentioned this in another video. Then it was a Luke versus a Vader, and they took like a whole hour and a half to play. Nothing to slight the players against, but like the game store owner, he's got a family. Like, he doesn't want to. I know it's his job as a game store owner to be there and to facilitate the games, but like it's just kind of a bad feeling also when you're a player and your game is taking an hour and a half when it was a Sunday evening and you're preventing, so to speak, the game store owner from going home a little early to see their wife and kids, right? So best of ones take less time, and the clock should not be as much of an issue, which is big to my heart. Unless you get some sandbag who's going to sandbag the whole game. If it's a 25-minute round, and maybe you even do 30 minutes, depending on the game, maybe you even do 35 minutes. Um, but the clock's not going to be as much of an issue as it is, or as it would be in best of three. And coach, I know you're really passionate about this last pro of best of ones. It's more new player friendly. Why don't you speak to that?
Yeah, yeah. So like, I think touching on that clock, it kind of touches into the new player friendly. When we did best of ones, I played Chewy control against Vader. I was playing Vader control, and we got our game in best of one. Like it wasn't even that. We have to finish the whole game. So and like I said, like you were saying, Chick. I think one of the things is with the best of three, and I've literally heard players say this. I've talked to them and the locals and no offense against any of those guys, but they, when I've said, well, what about new players? They say, well, they need to get better. I get that. Yep, I agree. They do need to get better. But is it really fair to say, or they'll say, well, they don't need to be in tournaments. They should practice at their local before they come to a tournament. Well, that's stupid. I say what you want, but I just think that's stupid. Like, hey, all my buddies are going to go to a tournament. I hang out with my buddies. They're playing this game. They're going to have a great weekend, hanging out all day long, having fun, playing a card game, and they invite me along. So I don't go because because I haven't got reps in, or I don't know the game very well, or whatever. That's just kind of ridiculous, right? So why can't we just make it best of ones where someone that is a new player can jump in? There's the time crunch isn't there. You're not feeling like as a seasoned player you're pushing this new
Mhm.
player to play faster, which is a horrible feeling. Or you're not getting screwed over because they're dragging out the clock so much, so you're going to take a double loss on something. Like that double loss rule, and it's such a horrible feeling when you're playing. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just too nice of a guy. I don't know, whatever. But when I play against new players, like I hate the clock. I think it's absolute garbage. Like,
Yeah,
when you're trying to get three games in what is it, 50 minutes for
55.
best of three, 55 minutes, yeah. And that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You can't push a player unless you're both playing Sabine, which again is stupid. Like, why do I have to play an aggro deck against another aggro deck to have to be able to get three games in? Best of ones, that's not a problem. Not a problem. And even with new players, you could even help coach that new player along a little bit. You could,
Mhm.
have fun just, talking to that new player, giving him tips or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But when you're so under that time crunch and you're trying to cram three games in, it was always a bad feeling. It was never not a bad feeling. I've never played against a new player where it wasn't a bad feeling. I guess that's where I'm coming from. And so if we're going to grow the game and make this a game where people want to play it, new players are going to come in. They got to be able to play in the tournaments because they want to win the fun stuff, and they want to be able to test their skill or whatever it is. And if we don't give them opportunity to do that, I feel like we're taking away from what this game could be.
Yeah, and to go off that, maybe you should just the people would say you should just beat the new player in 2 games, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, the only con that we were able to think of the only, like, significant con is that there's more sort of variance. In other words, like, if you sit down in a best of one game and you play against this deck that you have like a 90% win rate against, and maybe you just hit that 10% and lose to it, that's sort of a bad feeling because you put the reps in the best 2 out of 3, you're almost guaranteed to beat that deck. Like even if you lost the first game in that matchup, you'd still be feeling very comfortable, going into games 2 and 3. That's a con. I'll give that. But if you guys have any other cons, to the best of one format, let us know in the comments. We're open minded. We're just trying to make the game better. And so off that, let's go to the best of threes. The pros are that it's friendly to the sweaties. And we like the sweaties. We like the sweaties.
Yeah.
I every
We
now
do
and
we?
then,
Yeah, yeah, we
I
do.
can get a little sweaty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
other
yeah,
than
yeah.
that, I mean, obviously, you have like more. And here's what I'll say, just to clarify. I think we are all on the same page on this here at Cracked Ice Gaming. Is that Swiss should be best of ones, but your top 8, your top 16 or whatever, that should be best of threes.
That's the
Um,
threes, yeah.
I
We're
think we
okay with
can
that,
agree
yeah.
there because then
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
should be at least, or uh, more than likely will be the more seasoned players, the players who
Yeah,
should play
yeah,
faster,
sweaties.
and at that point,
Yeah, yeah,
you don't mind taking up that extra time to play the
yeah.
game when it's high stakes, and then getting like a luck job on that, or getting one bad draw in the top 8 would feel a lot worse than Swiss. So that's what we always think the best of 3 should be for the top cut. The cons, again, it
Yeah,
takes way too
yeah.
long. The clock ins issue, and it's new player reverse. Basically, all the pros to best of ones are all what the best of 3 format lacks. So that's
Yeah.
that's sort of
I
the
just think
quick
that
overview.
when you get to that 1,000-person tournament, there you go. Like, I mean, if best of ones, you're gonna finish that one of the day.
11
You're gonna
rounds.
know your top cut going into the next day, and all those new players got to play and they got to have fun. You gotta have a great day,
Yeah.
and they're not, and then they can go into, uh, if they want to stick around for the next day, they can go into like the side events.
Mhm.
And I think that's the problem. Like, so if you do go into the next day, my question is, like, okay, if it's best of threes and you get like single elimination or whatever it is, or you get to the
Mhm.
point where maybe you're only getting one game in, I mean, one match in, and it starts when the side events start, but you're still playing for an hour. Maybe those side events are starting to tail off, or who knows what, right? So I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not a feel good. You're
Mhm.
spending a bunch of money, right? You're staying in a hotel and
Yeah.
food and da da da, and you don't know if you're going to make the top cut, so you're sticking around. I think that's one thing I loved about Destiny was you knew, if you're going to make it to the next day, you're in the top cut, right?
Mhm.
And that's worth sticking around for, right? So I feel like best of ones would do that, and I just like that. I like that. I love the idea of doing like a best of one into a best of three. I think that's great because, like, you're right. I think Chick, when you say, "Hey, we don't mind playing for 10 hours, the top cut," because
It's the top
it's
cut.
fun, right? And
It's the
yeah,
top cut.
yeah, it's a top cut. It's
Yeah.
worth it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, if you can eliminate the 10 hours, that'd be great. Just, take, cards like Vigilance and Iden out of the game, and then we can eliminate all of that.
Yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
great. That's the solution. But what really
Yeah,
this whole thought experiment, this idea is about, is sort of minimizing the bad feelings, to say, and maximizing the good feelings. And what I mean by that is, just like Coach mentioned, um, when you play in a tournament and you make the top 8, it's gonna be the same rewarding feeling as if it was best of ones, or as if it was best of threes if you make the top cut. It's gonna be the same feeling. "Oh, I made the top cut," I made top 64 or whatever it is, whether it's best of ones or best of threes. Um, but if it's best of threes and it takes you like a whole extra day of time, and this, that, or the other, and an extra night at the hotel or whatever, and you place 65th and miss the top cut, that feeling is going to be way worse than if it only took you a day to get to that result. And for that second day, you could go play pods or go do draft, right? So it's all about, how do we maximize the good feelings of the game and the positive experiences, and minimize the bad experiences. And overall,
yeah,
that's sort of the conclusion we come to. And just a couple other thoughts
yeah,
in conclusion. uh, I love the sideboard mechanic. I think sideboarding is a cool thing in card games. This game, it doesn't need one, to be honest, but maybe it does. I'm not too sure about that statement, but But it has one, and I'm the sideboard's cool with me. So what we've thought of is why not just sideboard, similar to Flesh and Blood, after you see the leaders and after you see the bases, or maybe just after you see the leaders. But you know, I think you should do the bases as well. But you could test that out. And the chief complaint there is that's not fair to aggro. Like Sabine would have a bad matchup if they could sideboard before the first game, the one and only game. And
Yeah.
to that, I would say, oh, well, guess what? Just throw a Sabine a bone in the next set, or lessen the sideboard down from 10 cards to 5 cards, right? And then in the best of 3 format, obviously you can just keep the sideboard the way it is, or maybe you even sideboard before the first game in best of 3, but you can certainly just keep best of 3 the way it is. Any thoughts
You know,
on that, Coach?
one thing we didn't talk about. Yeah, one thing we didn't talk about was
Yeah.
maybe the benefit is if you don't sideboard, you get initiative. There you go.
Oh, or if you oh yeah,
Even
or if you oh if you sideboard, or even if like you sideboard, if you sideboard less cards, so
or less cards, yeah.
it's like a gambling
Yeah,
game.
whoever sideboard less cards gets initiative.
That's really
That might be
good.
something because
That is really good.
toying around with the idea, and I think we're not the
That
only ones
is
who've been toying
that
around with
is
the idea.
really
Like,
good.
hey, like
Oh,
it always
dude,
feels bad. I think
that is good.
one of the downsides of this game is like it becomes a luck based thing, especially in the
That
Sabine
was a great
matchup.
idea.
It's almost
Dude, that was
always
a
whoever wins the roll off, right? Because there's no positive effect for if you lose. Like
dude,
with like
that was a
Destiny,
good
you have
idea.
shields. Other games, you get some kind of bonus extra cards. Blah blah blah. Blah if you don't get the initiative. Well, maybe this would be whoever sideboards less gets the initiative. Like you don't have to you don't have to do even a roll off then. It's or if the only time you do a roll off then is if you
You
both
tie.
sideboard 5 cards or something like that. Yep. I don't know. That's the thought, but hey, I
That
think
is good.
ultimately,
That was
uh,
good. You didn't tell me about
yeah,
that. That's great. I say we close out
I
on
think
that.
ultimately
We got
the
other
last thought
stuff?
I
Yeah,
had
let's hear it.
is
Yeah.
the last thought I had is just this like why are we talking about sideboards, right? Or, I mean best of ones, right? Why are we even talking about this? Well, I think number one, it's being played, right? We know that it's being played in
Yep.
store championships. We played 2 different store championships where they did best of ones. I think other people are playing the best of ones. I think some of your locals maybe when they're just doing the your regular weekly gameplay, they're playing best of ones. So obviously it's being played. So it's not like it's something that's new, right? It's not like something we're just coming up, up, out of thin air, right? So our question is, hey, if it is a viable format, then how do we make that? How do we get FFG to recognize that's something
Mhm.
that we want? And I think the only way we do that is we make videos like this and we talk
Yeah.
about it.
Like
And
the
I would
video.
think that
Share it.
if enough of us are behind it and we like it, then I think FFG will probably hear our voice. And so this is not a complaint. It's not a gripe against
No,
FFG at all.
no.
We love the game. We just think, hey, is there a way they can improve it? It's not even something that we're not doing. It's something that's obviously legal to do. So maybe that's the format, and again, maybe it's to give that the bonus. If you're going to do the sideboards, I think, like you said, Chick, like I think the sideboard's a big thing. Like, how do you do best of ones with sideboard? And I think that's been a contention even at the store locals. Like, how do you sideboard with best of ones? Well, I think that'd be a great, like whoever sideboards the least amount of cards
I like that.
gets initiative.
That is I don't that's the first time I've ever heard that idea, in case you couldn't tell by my reaction. And I think that's a really good that's really good. That it brings like a whole nother layer to the game. And
Yeah,
just I got one
that
final
does
thought.
my hunt.
One final thought.
Yeah,
With the best, so a lot of
yeah,
times at your local game store you have like 4 hours to play or 3 hours to play. And
yeah,
like we said, with the
yeah,
best of one format, you get to play more people, and that's always good, playing more people, more decks. And if the competitive scene is best of threes, then you're going to have some people who want to do best of threes to practice for competitive, but then the people are just there to have fun and meet people who want to do best of ones. And then you sort of create that little bit of
yeah.
dissonance. And then if you're like all the way competitive, then you're going to do best of threes and only play like 2 or 3 people and only get reps in against 2 or 3 different heroes. But if you do best of ones, it could be 5 or 6 different people and different heroes. And then I think best of ones ultimately brings the community together better, in my opinion. I
I think
think
so.
in your opinion as
I
well.
think so.
and no one cares what
Yep.
Crink and Chewie thinks. I'm just kidding. Um, and that's what we got. That's last thoughts before we close this out.
No, that's it. That's it. Hey, just one last thought. That's keep the blaster in the holster.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you think about this idea, and
That's the
share
ones.
this with someone who also is interested in this. And blaster, holster, don't be a menace slave. Bam.